Welcome to the High Value Customer Podcast, the show for business leaders to learn how to attract and retain high value customers. This week's guest is Andrei Pirvulescu. Hopefully I got that right. Co-founder of QTeam Software Solutions based in Bucharest in Romania. How are you doing today? Are you well?
Hey, Chris. Thank you for inviting me. The name was pronounced correctly, so thank you for trying.
I did try my best. My
Yes.
my Romanian accent's probably a little bit rubbish.
It's through the same way. The other way. It's okay.
So let's kick things off. Can you give us a bit of your backstory and let us know how you have got to where you got to in your career so far?
Yeah, sure. So I started in software about 12 years ago. I started as a software tester. I still am a software tester, so it's a high probability that we can work together if you're looking for software testing services, for example. Mm-hmm. I mainly worked in web applications and mobile applications, from e-commerce to banking software. So I've been around for a while in the whole e-web space, let's say. I've been a lead for several teams up to 20 plus people for well-known international companies. Other than that, I try to give back to the community as much as I can. I'm also co-founder of the testing camp community. It's called Tabăra de Testare in Romanian, but it's translated testing camp.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. But it's basically testing camp translated in English. It's been around for 8 years now, and it has around 5K as the number of members. Okay. Inside the association, and we're trying to do monthly meetups where we basically share knowledge and ideas and anything that can help. And besides my personal career, for the last 4 years and a half, started QTeam Software Solutions, it's called. We've been working on different types of projects for mostly US-based companies, from e-learning apps, digital marketplaces, social media platforms, marketing management platforms. And for example, right now, we have a project in the pharma industry, helping them enable their e-commerce capabilities. I think we started the QTeam by seeing what went well in our careers, basically. And I think we wanted to emphasize those things in our core values, basically, as a company, like transparency, being able to adapt to the changing projects, because it's not just like a straight line. Project is not a straight line, and you need to be able to adapt. About QTeam, I would say that it's not a classical outsourcing company. We think of ourselves more like a consultancy company, in the sense that we want to become our clients' partners, not just being vendors. We want to help as much as we can. We had like management roles for some of the companies where we helped define processes and even help with the company strategy if we could. So I think that's a short summary of my career so far.
So talk to me a little bit about who your ideal customer is, and think about your ideal customer in terms of, like, if you had 10 out of 10, a customer that came knocking on your door, who would that be? Who would that perfect customer be? Who you love working for them and they love working with you?
I think for our ideal customers, we look at two things. The first one would be, let's say, the personality. And I would explain just a second. And the second one, the business side. So let's start with the personality part. It's basically, we try to, our ideal customer and what we're trying to find is people like us, in the sense that they have the same core values that I was mentioning, like being transparent, able to adapt, and I don't know, do good through their software, let's say, right? Like having cool projects like we want. So that would be the personality part of our ideal customer. And in terms of business, I would say our ideal customer would be someone from the startup ecosystem with at least one or two fundraisings done, like Series A, Series B, because mainly they already have their idea validated. They started having customers, and they reach a point where they realize they need our help, or they need help with a, let's say, custom solution. And I think we can help scaling up their business or helping them with the solution.
Would they typically have their own in-house team that you supplement, or are you kind of replacing like freelancers that they might be working with? Like, what would what these ideal customers have in terms of some kind of technological capabilities?
Because our ideal customer would have raised, let's say, some money. Typically, they have their in-house. They have some in-house capabilities, but we work with both type of customers, both with a team and without a team. So, we actually, for one client, we were the IT team, let's say. Right, so, but we have some ongoing projects where we're part of the team. I don't want to say addition, because we're not just an addition. Because that's why I was saying, because we're not looking for small projects where, I don't know, we can stay like 1 or 2 months and never talk again. That's So we really believe in becoming a partner.
So would you, if you think about your customers that you're currently working with, would you say they're more that they have like a technical co-founder, or are they typically someone who hasn't got a technical co-founder?
Let's say they have a CTO at least, even if he's not a co-founder, but he was brought in from an early stage.
So they have got some kind of like high-level strategic technological direction that they want to go in, and you're kind of helping to resource up that vision, I suppose.
Yeah. Usually, yes. Yeah.
So the people that work with you guys, are they sort of like debating whether they should do it in-house or outsource it, or do they already know that they don't want to do it in-house? They want to get this work done through a third party?
Like for example, we had projects like it was discussed from the very beginning. At some point, they will have that in-house, but until they recruit, hire, and so on, and find, let's say, the right price. US is not that cheap, as you probably already know. And then we can help until then, let's say, or then continue with both our team and their team, or, as I mentioned, we're the team basically in maybe a certain area or as a whole. Depends on the project.
So you mentioned a lot of your clients are in the US. So there's another company I've been talking to that do kind of what they would consider it nearshore outsourcing, as opposed to India or one of those kind of companies or countries. Sorry. So I'd imagine that sort of trend of people who are maybe slightly closer to you in terms of time zone and maybe slightly closer to you in terms of culture and sort of fit. And imagine that's the kind of trends that your companies are part of, I assume.
I mean, even if the most of our projects are with US-based companies, that doesn't mean we're not looking for, let's say, Western Europe or even something in Romania. And we actually started the project with a company from Romania. So that's really, it's our first actually. So that's really nice to do. It was easier for us to start in US, let's say. That's the main reason. And also the companies that we worked for before QTeam had US-based projects, and this is how we got to meet a lot of people, basically. So it was easier for us to start in the US. Sometimes it's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So do you find yourself in like competitive sales situations with other? So, for example, there's a company in the US looking to get some development done. Do you find yourself competing with other companies in Europe, or do you find yourself competing with, a company that's maybe in different regions in the world? Like, what are the other people that are involved in that tendering process like?
I think we have a lot of competition also from Romania. I mean, I wouldn't go even that far, not talking about, let's say, Ukraine. Ukraine is on the rise of working more with US-based customers from my talks with people from there. So definitely there's a lot of competition in consultancy, of course. We try to be a little bit different and hope that helps us have an advantage, let's say. Like our experience for several years with US, the partner part that I mentioned, we actually go to the client site. Like for example, we had a project where they came to Romania twice a year, and twice a year we went to US. So yeah, another project, like we sent one of our employee, and again, to meet the team, to be part of the team. And yeah.
So was you clear on who your ideal customer was when you first started the business, or has it evolved over the time that you've been in business?
I think we had an idea about what our ideal customer was supposed to be. I think it evolved as we grew our customer base, let's say, and we had more experience with more companies. But I think we were a little bit lucky in the sense that our first ideal customer was actually our first customer. So it was basically the first customer that set up the threshold for our next ideal customer. So I was talking about that partner part, and being really involved in that company, even if we were, let's say, vendors, helped us a lot. I know, from participating in sales pitches to business strategies to. So it was a wonderful customer. It stayed like 3.5 years with us. So it was a really nice first customer, let's say.
So it sounds like, from what you told me about your backstory, that you were already quite involved with your ideal customer before you started your company, and you was already, perhaps working for somebody else, or was it? I don't know if you was a freelancer or was you was working on the payroll of another company, but you was ultimately working for a similar kind of company, so that you already you understood that type of company, who your ideal customer was, before you started the business. So you started your own company and started to tender for your own work. So is that right?
Yeah. So basically, when we started the company, we started with this client. We already had talks before, I don't know, doing the papers of the company, like registration of the company. And we were really lucky about that. We were thinking about it for a long time, and we had the opportunity, and we took it. And
so when you first started, like how many people were involved in that first client? Is it just yourself, or was there anyone else involved at the time?
We were two.
Two,
and we had to grow in 1 month with 5 people. So it was really interesting scaling that up. And I like the idea that continued on other projects. Whenever we needed to scale up, we actually were really good at it. And surprisingly, sometimes, in the sense that there are a lot of factors around scaling up the stuff. So things went pretty well given the circumstances. But I think we're good at that. But that's where Christina, my co-founder, helps a lot. She has a HR background and really helps a lot when we need to upscale.
So if you need, an extra, I don't know, a couple of developers to work on a new project, you've kind of nailed how you go about, recruiting them and bringing them on board and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. I've been doing that as a lead on projects. We know what we look for, what to look for. We actually have like a pretty defined process. In that sense, we have, especially on the HR part, not necessarily the technical part, like red flags to see and stuff like that. And we also, what we do, if is needed, and if the client wants, if the client, let's say, it's one that wants an addition to his team, we usually have them participate in the interviews as well. Okay. They have a round of interview with the candidate.
That's good.
So I think it's really important to align both QTeam and the client's team.
I guess if you're going to be working closely as part of a team in another company, then that kind of round of interviews where that company gets a chance to see who the person is and make sure they're a good fit is quite an essential part, I imagine.
And the other way around, even for candidates, they have a glimpse at the project they're going to be in, the company that they're basically going to be part of in a way. So I think it's important for everybody to get along, let's say.
It sounds like you work on fairly long-term projects. So, it's not like they're going to start doing one project and then next week switch to something else.
Exactly.
They'll probably be, like part of that team for a number of months or even years, I guess. So it's definitely important to get a good fit. Yep. So talk to me a little bit about what you think the future looks like for your ideal customers. So think about, the sort of the ideal customers that we've been talking about, and what does the next kind of 5 or 10 years look like for them? What's the sort of trends that you see them needing to know about and understand?
So at the beginning of the talk, we discussed the industries that we've been involved, and I think there was a lot of growth for them during this period. I mean, not many industries were that lucky during this crazy year, but for them there was a lot of growth, and I think they're gonna grow. This is what we think, and what's interesting for me is that I think the future or this whole situation we're in, it's basically gonna help us have our next ideal customers, let's say. So I believe that the COVID-19 crisis basically enabled the forced digitalization, basically. So that means more growth for potential ideal customers, and for us as well.
As a business, we've chosen to work 100% remote as a result of the COVID-19 situation. Like, we obviously was forced to do it in the short term, but we all quite liked it. Hence, I'm sitting in an upstairs bedroom and not in an office at the minute. But yeah, I think you're right. It has kind of forced people to sort of look at their systems and processes and technology and sort of try to embrace new ways of doing things and new ways of serving customers. And I'd imagine
Exactly.
like it creates a whole wealth of new problems that, you know, a company like yours is going to be there to support and try and figure out how to, you know, get them to evolve.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I'm all alone at the office. This is my only quiet place. So that's why I'm at the office. But we wanted to mention that we work remotely whenever was needed. Before it was cool, let's say. But yeah, I miss the guys, seeing the guys.
Yeah.
But we have meetings with the Zoom calls and so on, and it's okay. And I think you were mentioning that they're seeing a lot of, okay, we're not in the office anymore, but for sure we can, I don't know, automate some of the process, find some solutions to not waste time on stuff that it's rather monotone, let's say, or boring, or and I think this is the coronavirus crisis had a lot of doing with. I mean, I know it's 2020, but yeah, I think there are a lot of companies around that are not yet digital, let's say.
So it kind of brings us on nicely to perhaps where your business fits in with that future. So you spoke a lot about how companies need to change and they're sort of forced to evolve. And I imagine there must be a lot of problems that people are now finding that they've got, that I assume you would be, you know, part of trying to figure out what that solution is. Like, where do you see yourself fitting in? Do you think do you help them figure out what the problems are, or do you think that they already know what the problems are and that I
think it's part of both of them, in the sense like people usually say they need X, but they actually that X is a little bit bigger and a little bit complexer, and we try to find the solution for what they actually want and the implementation as well, from my point of view. And I don't know, an example of a talk that we had at some point was, for example, with a construction company. They basically wanted to automate some of the process, and it was really nice to see that. Usually it's I don't know, when you think about the construction company, you think more about the physical hands-on work. But yeah, this is just one of.
So what were the things that they were looking to automate? I'm assuming it wasn't laying bricks.
No. There's probably going to be robots for that.
Yeah.
I think I saw some stock shelving robots now. I don't know, it could be from something having to do with documents, or how they are sent, or basically give, I don't know, a price estimation or stuff like that. I mean, not doing all the work in a spreadsheet or something like that.
I guess, yeah, I guess, yeah, if you can look for parts of somebody's job, which I suppose ultimately need to be done, but don't add a huge amount of value, like sort of administrational tasks or kind of pushing this bit of paper from this person to this person, and it kind of frees up the person to add more value. How do you feel about, you know, kind of AI replacing people? Like, what was your take be on people that are concerned that the technology is going to replace people? What would you say to someone who thinks that?
I think AI ML is going to help us, not going to replace us. And I think I was mentioning that I'm a software tester, and at some point there were some discussions saying that, for example, software testers will be replaced by AI ML, and then that backfired to the story where ATM replaced the guys from the counter, right? But they went on another job. They adapted basically. So I think that would happen. I mean, if you still want to do that job, you're clear the same job that basically you're replaced by, I don't know, some RPA robot, let's say. You're going to be out of a job, but I think people are going to be offered the opportunities to do something else or something connected with what they were doing. I mean, I don't think there's a job that doesn't evolve. And my job has evolved since 12 years ago, right? But you need to adapt and use what's basically helping you from my point of view. For example, I like the example with chatbots, right? Chatbots are helping, right? There's not a guy from customer support, let's say, anymore. Sometimes it's frustrating for users, depends on the chatbot. But I think there's a lot of room for AI ML, like natural language processing, image recognition, and video recognition is one of the, let's say, most advanced one from the ML AI part. I still think we're a long way from people being replaced everywhere. I don't think that's going to happen, or not too soon until Terminator shows up. But I think that we're seeing a lot of work around this area, and we're really interested in that. And we actually did work on image recognition, NLP, and stuff like that. So that's really cool to see, and it's really cool to see that the cloud providers are offering more and more solutions around that area. Like AWS has a lot of AI ML stuff.
So you probably don't need to necessarily be an expert in AI to utilize some of the sort of tools that Amazon might have that you could, send a document off to. And I'm sure, I might be wildly wrong. I'm not a developer, but I assume that there's services that people at Amazon provide where you could, ping a document over to Amazon's tool, and it will do whatever it is that you need to do. Look for the name, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Like for example, there's a service like where you send a PDF and it extracts the text from there.
So I suppose as a developer, you can utilize all of these kind of building blocks, and your role is not necessarily to write the bit of code that does that job. It's more to sort of tie it all together and understand the business case and which ones should you bolt together.
Yeah, I'm sure you need to write some code around because of the different types of businesses, right? Like for sure you're gonna have a case where you need to treat another scenario or something like that. But it's easier now in the sense that you don't have to write the whole that whole part that, let's say, interprets the PDF. Right? So you can extract the data, send it to email, send it whatever in your CRM or.
So I guess you don't need to make the tool. You just need to figure out how to apply the tool. So you're not making a hammer. You're just figuring out where to hit it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important. If you don't have the tools and you don't know how to use them, they're kind of useless.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So talk to me about what is the value that you are selling to your ideal customers? Like what is the ultimate ROI of working with QTeam?
I think that at least from the feedback that we got so far, it's like people that work with us have already high expectations about our work. I mean, if we're in a project, there's high expectations about our work. And what we try to do is basically exceed those expectations. Not that we don't put, let's say, lower expectations from the beginning. No. and we basically every day try to exceed those expectations. Even if it's through hard work, I don't know, coming up with solutions, I don't know, everything that we do basically. Because I'm really, it was, and it is, I'm really proud about the fact that we can be proud of our work. I don't know if it makes sense. I mean, there's not a project where we didn't do something cool or we exceeded expectations. I think that's the reason why we're here after 4 years.
So I imagine it must be easy for somebody to experience that once they're a customer. Like once somebody starts doing business with you, like they obviously will hopefully experience that because they're a customer of yours. Like how do you sort of try and get that across before they're a customer? Like how do you try and help them to understand what it is that they're buying before they actually get it?
That's why I was saying that we're proud of our work, and basically we showcase our work. I mean, of course, we have NDAs and stuff like that. We don't give names, but we can definitely say at any time what we did on that project and how we did it. And as I mentioned, we're trying to solve both parts of the client's problem, what he wants, and come up with the solution. So I think that helps a lot also.
So over the years that you've been running your business, what are the key lessons that you've learned? Like if you was to have a meeting with yourself when you first set up the company, what would be the advice that you would give yourself to help out a bit better?
The advice to myself, I think it would be prepare to fail, honestly. I wasn't... let's say, very familiar with failing. But what I did before was totally different in the sense, okay, I was leading bigger teams and stuff like that. But in a way, I was just a little part of the whole company, right? So when you start your own company, you have much more ways to fail. And for me, it wasn't easy. I don't know, failing from, I don't know, recruiting a person that you thought it would be a good fit for your company, right? From, I don't know, a sales pitch, something that, I don't know, you were sure that it was bound to happen, but I don't think I experienced those things before, or if I did, it was at a much lower part. One interesting thing is that, for example, in my last company, I also participated in sales pitches and stuff like that, and actually was able to get more work, for example, or I was under the impression that we got the project because I helped a lot. Yeah. But thinking back in the retrospective, I was there as I know the sale was already made, kind of. So they just wanted to see like processes and stuff like that. But here is different. You have to do all the parts, and yeah. But in the same time, even if, let's say, in the first half year or year was a little bit shocking, then I get used to it. It gets easier from my point of view. It's part of the business, I would say, and it's part of the business because you also learn a lot. I mean, I think having fails, but of course not catastrophic fails, helps you go way more back in retrospective and thinking about how you can improve. So it's as I said, it's part of the business for me.
I guess if you're not failing in some way, then you're probably not taking any risks, and you're probably not growing as an individual. Like
Exactly.
if you just do the same thing you did yesterday, then you're not really gonna grow in any way. You kind of need to say, well, I'm going to try this extra little bit, or I'm going to try and do this different thing, and I think if you learn from the situation, then that's fine. Like I think anyone who expects themselves not to make mistakes is kind of a bit foolish, really.
Yeah. I truly agree, and I think I was. I mean, it was the thing that the failures were smaller for me, at least. This is how I saw them at that moment. But again, you're not taking any risk if you don't try.
I found, like, I've done plenty of things in the past that haven't worked out, right? But often I feel like you learn as much or arguably more from the things that fail than the things that succeed, because if you learn 10 ways it doesn't work, then you can say, well, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that again. Exactly. And then you're like, okay, well, next time I do it, I'm going to do it this way. And you kind of.
Yeah, my honest belief is that basically if things are going okay, you don't think that much about the things that don't work okay. I'm sure there's something that doesn't work perfectly at all. Nothing is perfect, right? But you don't think that much about it. No.
I think in the sort of startup world is probably culturally more acceptable to fail, like the kind of failing fast kind of idea and whatever. I think when you're constantly trying to validate a hypothesis, I think if I make this, people will do this. I suppose there's it's probably like the culture within those type of businesses is just probably a little bit more acceptable to fail than, the kind of big corporates in the world where they don't ever take risks and they just try and do the same thing that they did last year and just make it 1% better. And, if they did something and made a mistake, it would be the end of the world, and they feel like they get sacked and whatever else. I feel like there's definitely a sort of spectrum of risk-taking ability or sort of like how much risk I suppose you're prepared to take.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I saw that on other projects that I've been before in my career. Like, okay, there was a risk, but it was like I would say way more calculated, like you were saying, right? Like, let's try just to do 1% better, right? Not 20 or 50% better. To do 20 or 50% better, you have to take a big chance with the team, with everything, right? You're twice as, or let's say, or twice as better, right? That's a lot. Yeah.
So let's look to the future of your business. Let's talk us through, like, what are your plans for your business? I think maybe, I don't know, what sort of timescales are you planning? Like 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? What's in your kind of plans for your company?
So I think first of all we're thinking about let's say a nearly based future first of all, and then we try to think about, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. And I think for the next year, definitely we want to get new customers and new, hopefully ideal customers. And we're looking to get like 3 to 5 from what we're thinking right now. Also want to increase our staff accordingly. And another exciting plan that we have for next year, but we started this year, is to launch our own product in the AI ML ecosystem. And we just got accepted into a pre-accelerator in Bucharest. Has a lot of amazing mentors, investors, stuff like that, and we're really excited to be there. We are among 10 startups, and there were like 20 startups shortlisted. So there were 2 startups for one place. So we're really excited to
Well, congratulations for being accepted.
Thank
What's
you.
the name of the accelerator you've been accepted into?
It's called Step Forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's created by Tech Hub. It's just like the name, a Tech Hub. Basically co-working space.
Oh yes, I used to go to the Tech Hub in London. Yeah, there was one in Google Campus.
Mm-hmm.
I had a desk there for I don't know, a year or so.
Yeah. So basically, they have one in Bucharest. We actually started from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we moved since we got a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be fully online. That's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how it goes. We'll see. We hope we'll have constructive feedback first of all, and help us boost our product.
So talk to me a little bit about the sort of change in strategy from being a service-based business building other people's products to building your, thinking we now want to build our own products. What was the reason why you decided to do that?
First of all, we're gonna try to maintain our services, basically. So we're not gonna renounce to the service that we provide. But I think working with startups, as I mentioned, helped us a lot in getting a more, let's say, vast glimpse of what a startup is, how to build a product, and we want to try to see how it is to build our own product, not necessarily build others' product. Want to see if we got what it takes, basically. It's like a new challenge for us.
So what are the sort of challenges that you feel are on the horizon as you look to grow your business? Like you said to me, you want 3 to 5 new customers, and you've got this product that you're looking to launch. Like, what are the sort of challenges that you foresee having in the next 12 months, and what are you doing to overcome them?
I don't have 27 to 30 hours per day. That's the first challenge. No, I'm just kidding. No, honestly, I got better at managing my time, because otherwise I wouldn't see my kids. So that was a priority. The challenge that I see is the fact that building our own product, it's relatively new, in the sense that we weren't that much exposed to, let's say, like thinking from the scratch. I mean, it was really interesting just coming up with the ideas. Like we had, like, let's say, a call for papers, and we tried to come up with ideas, and it was a really interesting process. From, I don't know, looking to see if it's a viable product, if there's a market for it, if you have competitors, if you have, I don't know, what it takes to build that product. Thinking about going B2B, B2C, or both. And some of this stuff we weren't exposed. Like, for example, we were exposed to, let's say, product strategies or sales part, but like thinking about where to go, for example, like where to go B2B or B2C, I wasn't exposed to that, for example. And, yeah.
So one of the last questions I'd like to ask you about is if you were to get 100 grand to invest in your business, what would be the areas that you feel perhaps are the ones that you would like to invest in? Perhaps where are the opportunities in your business to improve that you would use that money to try and improve?
Honestly, in sales and marketing, especially in the US, if we can afford it even with 100 grand, If not, I would go to Western Europe, let's say. But thinking in terms of services, in the product, I would need to figure that out. We're still at the beginning, but probably still in sales and marketing to be honest, to gain more visibility and gain more customers.
So what are you doing at the moment in terms of marketing and selling yourself into the US? How have you won the customers that you have got at the minute?
A lot of work has been gained through recommendations. Even if we didn't knew directly the customers, somebody that they worked with or somebody has recommended us. We do try to do marketing and sales. I don't know where. One thing that happened this year due to coronavirus, for example, we're in the Romanian Association for Software. And we were supposed to go to, let's say, an economic mission to New York, and that got canceled. And there you could meet all sorts of people, make connections, and maybe find a potential client. So we're both in the Romanian Association for Software and in the American Romanian Chamber of Commerce, a similar association. We try to use a lead company, a lead generator company. We have somebody that helps us on marketing and sales. We were trying, for example, to get all our reviews all together. It's taking a while, but it's understandable. People are busy and so on. But we started doing that, and we like to think that our best selling tool is our work that has been done. So.
What were your experiences working with a lead generation company? Was it a positive one? Is it something you're still doing, or?
We're still doing it, but I think for them it's really hard to please all the customers. Like we're totally different companies there, and they have the same leads basically for everyone. Let's face it. And there are some projects that can interest us. Some of them just aren't a good fit from a company wise, from technology wise, and from money wise for you.
So it's it sounds like the majority, or if not all, of your customers have come through sort of networking and referrals rather than any other, like the lead generation companies, or has that brought you any kind of customers? Yeah.
Honestly, that hasn't brought us any customer yet. We're hoping to do that. We had, I don't know, conversations from, let's say, the review companies like Clutch, for example, when all sorts of websites where you can market your work. And we had since you're from the UK, we had several conversations from the UK, which was really nice to see. Really cool, some really cool ideas from there.
Great. So we're almost at the end of our interview. We've just got time for some quick fire questions. So the first of the quick fire questions is your favorite business book.
Chaos Monkey, I would say. That definitely Chaos Monkey. It's you know about the book? No? It's Antonio Garcia, if I remember correctly, and basically it's the story of a guy building a product and all mayhem around Silicon Valley. And I think it's a really good dive into the investors and how you can sell without having anything, and it's just crazy, just crazy, and it's really funny. And that's what I like. It seems like a really personal book, let's say, his own personal experience.
So next question, your favorite quote.
Planning is nothing, planning is everything. I think it's Roosevelt. And I think this is something else that I learned along the way of my career. it's good to have a plan, but if you don't change it along the way, it's for nothing. And I think I have another one. It's actually one of my former bosses. She asked me at some point, "What did you do about it?" So that was kind of let's say career change quote, a question. What did you do about it? So that was a really.
So your favorite TED Talk or something which has inspired you?
I think there are a lot of good TED Talks, but one that I remember especially, and I was still in school, is one that it's called "Do Schools Kill Creativity?"
Mm-hmm.
And it resonated with me at that point. So that's one of my first TED Talks that I saw. I think it's Sir Ken Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's inspired you the most in your business?
I honestly, I don't think talking about creativity and killing it in school. I never expected to have my own company. I never had. So I didn't look, let's say, for someone to inspire me in business, let's say. But I would say that the people that inspire me to do great work were my family, basically. Their work ethic and stuff like that. And I always try to do my best at my job. So I would say they had a pretty big influence, including the business part.
So last one, dead or alive, who would you like to have as a mentor in your business? If you could have anyone, who would it be?
That's a good one. I would choose Steve Jobs, even if he's dead, just to see if I can work with him. I want to see if the rumors are true or not. I mean, I think that would be a challenge, and I want to see that. And of course, his famous speeches are well known, and it's amazing to rewatch some of his presentations, like the iPhone launch. It was like crazy.
So is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that you would like to share with the audience?
I think we went through all. I think I mentioned the product. We're really excited about it, and I hope to move forward with that and speak even more. I don't know, maybe another podcast about the ideal customers of the product. So that would be interesting. That would be another point of view. Let's say.
So has your new product got a website yet, or is it still unnamed?
It's named, but we're still working on it. So
okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody has listened to this podcast and would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way of reaching out to you?
The best way would be the company's website, QTeam.Solutions, and on LinkedIn. I honestly answer on LinkedIn every time. So it's usually, if not immediately, in a couple of hours, I tend to answer. So
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great talking to you today. Really enjoyed the conversation, and I look to hopefully speak to you again soon.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me.